In the shadowy depths of the Litchfield hills lies Dudleytown, a once thriving village now consumed by the haunted wilderness that surrounds it. Whispers of a family curse, strange creatures lurking in the trees, and villagers who vanish without a trace have turned this forsaken settlement into a place of dark legend. A place where the forest seems to watch, waiting for its next victim. Hello to all my fellow creepy little weirdos. My name is Christina and I'll be your tour guide through the realms of the unexplained, the paranormal, and the just plain weird. Welcome to Horror, History, and Haunting. Nestled deep within the Litchfield Hills, Dudleytown, Connecticut was established in the mid-18th century. What began as a hopeful settlement by a few pioneering families soon became a place steeped in mystery. The Dudleys, a family with English roots, were among the first to settle here. Their ancestors, some whispered, were cursed after Edmund Dudley, a political figure in England, was beheaded for treason on August 17th, 1510. From that point on, the family was believed to have been marked by ill fortune. The land they chose in Connecticut was dense with towering pines and old-growth trees, their branches curling like twisted fingers. The forest loomed over the small clearing where settlers built their homes. Birds avoided the skies above the village, and no matter how hard they worked the soil, crops failed to flourish. The settlers blamed the poor farmlands, the harsh winters, and the isolation, but others sensed something darker lurking. In the forest surrounding Dudleytown, vast and brooding, was a place where strange things just happened. Animals would flee, disappearing into the dense brush, never to return. At night, villagers claimed to hear whispers on the wind, voices that seemed to call from deep within the woods. The name Dark Forest soon became synonymous with the area. But despite the growing unease, the Dudleys and other settlers persevered, unaware that their new home would soon become infamous. As the years passed, tragedy after tragedy struck the village. Inexplicable deaths and disappearances became commonplace. The curse descended swiftly upon those who dared to settle in the isolated mountain town of Dudleytown. Among the earliest victims was Nathaniel Carter, who arrived in 1759 with hopes of building a peaceful life. But tragedy struck during a business trip when Native Americans attacked, brutally murdering his wife and infant child. Shattered by loss, Carter abandoned the cursed town and returned to his home in New York, only to meet a violent end there shortly after. The land Nathaniel once owned belonged to Abel Dudley, another victim of the town's dark influence. Abel suffered from madness in his later years, dementia, slowly claiming his mind until his death at the age of 90. His friend, Gerson Hollister, feared no better. He died under mysterious circumstances in 1792, falling from a barn he was building for William Tanner, another neighbor. Tanner, driven to madness, claimed a strange creature from the forest had killed Hollister. Whispers of demons and strange beasts began to spread through the town, and fear of the unseen stalked every corner. The stories of death and madness continued to multiply. Sarah Fay One was struck by lightning in front of her own home in 1804. The tragedy shattered her husband, Revolutionary War hero General Herman Swift, who lost his sanity upon hearing the news. Another infamous victim was Mary Chamey, the wife of presidential candidate Horace Greeley in 1872. Just 1 week before the election, Mary took her own life. Greeley, already weighed down by grief, lost his bid for the presidency to Ulysses S. Grant. The curse, many believe, claimed both Mary and Greeley's political aspirations. As the 20th century approached, the curse showed no mercy. John Patrick Brophy, one of the last residents of Dudleytown, suffered immensely as the town's population dwindled. His wife succumbed to tuberculosis, leaving him alone with their 2 children until they too wandered into the woods one day and never returned. Consumed by grief and despair, Brophy ventured into the forest after them and vanished without a trace. Their home mysteriously burned to the ground soon after, leaving no survivors, only ashes and questions. With each passing generation, the curse of Dudleytown only grew stronger, claiming lives and sowing madness among those who dared to remain. The once hopeful settlement became a shadowy graveyard of broken lives, haunted by creatures and whispers from the dark forest. Today, Dudleytown is nothing more than crumbling stone foundations buried beneath layers of moss and foliage. Nature has reclaimed the land completely, but even now the whispers of a curse linger. Paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and curious visitors often attempt to find the village remnants, though many leave with more questions than answers. There are tales of modern-day explorers who experience sudden nausea, panic attacks, or vertigo as they enter the site. Others claim to see shadowy figures darting between the trees, or they hear the eerie echo of voices that seem to call out from somewhere deep in the woods. Some speak of strange orbs of light that appear at dusk, hovering briefly before fading away. The local authorities have since restricted access to the area, citing both safety concerns and the land's preserved nature. But this hasn't stopped the stories. Some believe that the forest itself is alive, feeding off their fear that it creates, growing darker with each passing year. And so, the legend of Dudleytown, the cursed village lost to time, continues to grow. The once bustling settlement has vanished into history, yet it lives on in the shadows of the dark forest, where the past and the present seem to blur into one. Over the centuries, many theories have emerged to explain Dudleytown's tragic fate. Some point to the historical curse of the Dudley family. Traces of their misfortune goes back to England and the alleged black magic that followed them across the ocean. Others suggest that the land itself is cursed, perhaps by the Native American tribes who once lived there, angered by the settlers' intrusion. Skeptics argue that the events in Dudleytown can be attributed to natural causes, the isolation, the poor quality of the land, or even the presence of some sort of toxic minerals that could have led to hallucinations or sickness. But no matter how logical the explanation, the feeling of dread that hangs over the area is hard to shake. Dudleytown, once an ordinary village, has become something far more sinister in the collective imagination. It stands as a reminder that some places are better left undisturbed. Whether it's truly haunted or simply a relic of a troubled past, the dark forest remains a place of mystery. People are drawn to it, seeking answers. If you enjoyed this video, please show your support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It would really mean the world to me. Also, you might like this video about another haunted or cursed place, or this playlist. And as always, thank you for watching. Good night and sweet dreams. Bye-bye.